Hey, y'all. Welcome back to my podcast. Today, I guess what we're going to continue talking more about is this concept of mindfulness, this work that I'm doing with Soul Warrior Psychotherapy. Mindfulness is kind of key in everything in life. You're either mindful or you're not. So if you're not mindful, you're probably working on autopilot. You're probably dealing with anxieties and you're probably focused on, something else other than yourself. When you're mindful, you are aware of yourself, you're aware of everything that's coming up as you go. So, what I want to bring in actually is this game that I got into playing recently. I don't know if anybody has heard of it. It's called Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. It's a really dark game. I didn't know really what I was getting into. I asked ChatGPT to give me some suggestions of games that are very similar to the game Nevermind, which is actually a game I really like. It's a lot like the movie The Cell, but it doesn't have the scenes where you have a suspended person looking like they're in a muscle suit. Um, it's like an institute. You go to it and you don't even see your person. So you're only first person view. You go into this institute and basically you're a psychotherapist or a psychologist of some kind. And your role is to get a case study and then you go into their mind to help them work through and reprocess trauma. So it's actually a very unique game. I really liked it. It was very artsy and whimsical. There was a lot of symbolisms involved. It was really dark in some times and, chaotic in other times. A lot of it was puzzle solving, trying to figure out clues, things like this. I'll give you an example. One of my favorite levels was this level where you're inside of an apartment. Now, while you're in this apartment, there's no getting out. The doors are locked. There's nothing going on. So you're just kind of snooping around, looking around this very average looking apartment. And as you're going in circles, looking around through this apartment, getting frustrated because there's nothing really you're finding, as you go through and you circle around, you find new things. So you don't see it the first time around. So literally, you have to circle around this apartment multiple times before you invoke a new thing that comes in. And this new thing is something different. For example, it's a very orderly looking apartment. And then after circling the apartment a few times, you start to notice some things are off. Some things are not in alignment anymore. Some things are missing. Some things are dirty. Some things are left out. And then you go and you clean them. And then as the story unfolds, you start to get some backstory through clues here and there, little things that you read. And basically, what you learn is you're someone with OCD and you're obsessed and you're kind of walking around your house somewhat agoraphobic, afraid to get out, and you have a partner, but it doesn't show the partner. It just shows the aftermath of the partner having been in this apartment where, maybe they got upset with you because you left something that was disorderly. And as you continue to circle through this apartment, more and more things start to get out of order and disorderly, and things start to look really dark. And at one point, you walk through, and there's like blood all over this bathroom floor and in the toilet, and it looks like you killed a bird. The bird that was twerting in the background is no longer twerping. Is that the word for that? Chirping? There's no longer singing. Okay. There's no more bird chirping, singing sounds anymore. And everything starts to get really dark. And then you hear like people banging on the doors. Basically, you're getting darker and darker and deeper into this person's psyche to uncover some trauma that had occurred for this person. That's kind of the basic, and there's various case studies that you'll go through. It's not just this one person. There is one where you're dealing with a homeless person. And that's another really cool one. You're walking around and there's mannequins everywhere, kind of doused with paint. And as you walk by these mannequins all over the streets of New York, when you walk by one, you hear it say mean things to you. And, this is supposed to represent what it's like to be homeless. It's that everybody looks faceless and you just hear this stuff from everywhere around you. And this person has like massive schizophrenia. It's really, really neat. So I really loved it. But when I looked it up, there was nothing really about this story out. This is like the only video game of its kind. They said it was the first and only of its kind where they used biofeedback in the game, which meant that you're supposed to wear this little mechanism. And whenever your heartbeat increases, actually the game gets harder. And so you're supposed to remain calm and that helps you get through the levels. So A lot of people, big industries did not really want to back this. They were a little scared about the niche aspect of this. Not everybody would be into something like that. So they didn't really do any other Nevermind type games out there, which I was very disappointed with. Why is it that the one game that I actually like, it's like so nuanced? Anyway, so ChatGPT thankfully helped me and they suggested that I try out this Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, which is about Senua, who's this Nordic Viking chick who looks very, wild and has dreads that are like in a huge ponytail behind her and, has war paint on her face. She's really cool. And she decides to go through the depths of hell. She's carrying a skull in a bag of the dead lover that she's actually going into hell to retrieve his soul so she can bring him back or set his soul free. Either way, she's trying to save him because she feels like she was, she feels really guilty because she wasn't able to save him when he was alive. So, um, as she goes through this underworld, long story short, as she comes through this underworld, the whole thing is very artistic. It's visually stimulating. It's very dark and poetic. There's a lot of, uh, you know, crazy, like hell like things everywhere. There's stuff floating in the air. You have to, you may look at something one way, but you have to go look at it through an archway and then it changes. There's symbols that you have to unlock clues to and you can't really believe everything that you see because there's just little tricks and changes in the perceptions as you're getting through these levels. Now, there's also these dark beings that you have to fight, which she fights very brutally, which is very cool. I like that part, but it's kind of daunting after a while. And especially at the end where it's like extremely daunting and literally you have to just give up playing. And that's part of the end of this game. You literally have to give up the fight. This game really centers a lot on the human mind, psychology, the depths of the human soul, and its torment and mental health issue. For example, a lot of these levels, Senua is walking through hell and she's listening to various voices that are going on in her head. And these voices sometimes could be encouraging, as one of the voices that she talks to throughout the game, who interchanges between like a compassionate voice of hers and sometimes can be her dead lover who, somehow he's talking to her. And these other voices, some are very anxious as she's going through things. They're shaming, they're scared, they're, warning her that there's things behind her. They're telling her not to do stuff. They're, getting upset with the decisions that she's making. And there's another voice in there that's very shaming, very dark, very guilt-ridden. And anytime something happens, this voice comes out and just really discourages her. I think these voices are intending to help her in some way, but they're really not because they're somewhat negative. So this is, I think, the angle that this show or that this game is trying to come at, which is how the inside of the mind works for people. And so as she's going through this entire journey, she's having to deal with her own psyche. And in the end, she has to give up the fight in order to win. And this is at the you can't avoid it. It's just something that happens. After she gives up the fight, the bad Hela, who she's going into hell to try to conquer, who is the goddess there, it turns out that it's her. And I think it's meant to represent that part of her that's full of guilt and shame and sadness. And she was trying to fight this the whole time. And when she finally lets go and allows this to kill her being this part of her that didn't want to give up, that was kind of living in a seat of denial about this loss of her boyfriend. When she finally killed that part of her, she was able to fully embrace the reality, which is that he's gone, and she was able to let him go. The cool thing I liked about it is at the end, there's scenes where, after she does all this, she still hears the voices, she's still wounded. Nothing's really changed. The only thing that changes is that she has developed a different relationship with those things. They no longer consume her or control her. She is fully in control and calm because she understands and accepts where she's at in that grief process. I think it's a wonderful, phenomenal game. I think, people, it's really worth the play. It's very intense. There's a lot of intense scenes at the end. Oh my gosh. I was like playing and I was looking around like, oh my God, I wish somebody else was here watching this with me. I can't believe this is like in front of me. This is crazy. Very artistic, very, very neat. otherworldly. So I highly recommend. Anyway, point of this game is that it's kind of demonstrative of mindfulness. When you're aware of the voices that are going on in your head, you start to recognize, sometimes they're meant to help you, but they don't always do the best job of it. Sometimes they're full of shame. Sometimes they're full of fear. Sometimes they're full of hope. So it's kind of neat to see the different aspects within ourselves manifested in this game. And by being fully present in that mode, you start to really recognize like the struggles that people deal with on everyday basis, with a lot of this stuff. So mindfulness is really key. Being able to recognize when you're being led by a fear in your mind, when that's taking you off course, because trust me, those things can take you very far off course. It's very difficult to stay focused. In many fractals of this. For example, if you're just sitting there trying to, watch TV or look at something and somebody comes up next to you and they clap, I mean, your eyes are going to blink, you're going to get shooken up a little bit. So it's natural that these things will kind of distract you. And just keep in mind, this is happening at a moment by moment basis, and we have no idea. So this kind of presence, fully embodied, aligned self that's trying to walk through life living authentically is going to constantly be disrupted by things in its environment. So it's very important not to lead forward as though I'm going to fight this, I'm going to make sure that this never happens, because the reality is that it's there. So it's not about trying to fight it to get rid of it. It's a matter of just accepting the reality that it is there. It's happening. Those voices are indeed in you. You don't have to listen to them. You can recognize them for who they are and what they're doing and their purpose. They're always trying to have a good intention for you, but they just may not always be right. So this is kind of the key when it comes to working with your internal dialogue. By turning on the awareness button, you begin to look at it. You look at the voices and you question them. You look at them, and by being able to look at them and question them, their authenticity, their legitimacy, and we're back. Don't know what the hell that was. Internet went out for like the past 30 minutes. I had to actually call Spectrum. Oh, wait, who calls people these days? I actually had to text Spectrum, and then they did some troubleshooting with me. I went over there, had to unplug the wires from the wall and plug the Ethernet in there, but not before the other one. And I don't know. I think after a while, the guy was just messing with me. He was like, no, you have to plug the Ethernet in first, and then you have to plug that one in first, and then you got to unplug this one and then plug it into the wall. I'm like, this is the stupidest. Like, are you seriously telling me the thing's going to turn back on because I put in this plug in before this plug? Like, how stupid is that? What the fuck? I really do think they're just fucking with me. Because then, after I was done with it all and I scheduled an appointment for tomorrow, oh, lo and behold, we just decided to turn back on. Oh, never mind. We don't want to go see you. You know what? No, I'm going to make your ass come back out and see me, because guess what? The internet did that same thing to me yesterday. It went off, then it came back on. And then again this morning, it's on again. And then it's going to go back. No, you're going to come by because you put me through this little charade of embarrassment. I'm going to make your little technician ass come by on a Sunday morning. So anyway, I don't even remember what I was talking about. Something about Senua sacrifice, mindfulness, and I don't even remember. Forget it. Oh, this is so annoying. Why is it that when I'm trying to do this podcast, things go wrong? You know what? Segue, we're switching this topic. I think initially the topic was going to be about mindfulness and how, a lot of trying to fight the battle in life is about invoking mindfulness, because that's the only way to actually start doing that. Is you turn on and you recognize, oh, what am I doing? Let me just figure this out. No, the other thing I'm going to actually segue is this concept. Please, somebody else out there, validate this experience that whenever you try to start something new, you always have to jump through fucking hoops. Like, what the hell? Like, what? Why does the universe mess with me? I just started doing this podcast. You know how long it's taken me to get on here and start ranting? You would think I would have been the first person in line to do that. Why did it take me forever to get here? But now that I'm here and I just started doing it and I'm excited about it and all of that and la la la. And I went on this rant and I was getting really excited about the fact that I could just talk in a continuous fashion without stopping. And, you know, boom, my internet goes out 2 days in a row. What the fuck is up with that? What the fuck? Like, come on. Is there some powers that be out there that are literally trying to stop me from speaking? Like, you know what? It's like part of this theme is that we here are following the worldview premise that this is all a matrix system. It's a game. It's a big fucking game that we're stuck in and we are playing whether or not you want to play at all. You having to play the game one way or another. Now, in this game, there's powers that be that don't want you to go in the direction that you normally need to go. So, for example, in Senua's sacrifice, she's walking around, and whenever she gets to a place in the terrain or the level or wherever this map is, there's no map, it's just land. So wherever you're at, when you're at the next stage of the game because they're sending bad guys in now. Like, what is this? It's the same thing as when I play Halo with my boyfriend. You're wandering around these mines for like ever, just circles and circles, trying to find the next direction. But as soon as you find the direction, the music starts and new bad guys come in. This is a thing. And this is a thing that happens in our life too. It's like, it takes somebody forever to get to the place where they're finally motivated to start exercising and going to the gym and getting healthy. And then what happens? I'll tell you what's going to happen. You're going to get sick or something's going to happen in your life where you now have to go attend to or go travel. And then that's going to ruin your whole effort to create a new habit. It happens every time. Every time. It is so annoying. And in my line of work, I see this in people's lives. They're doing well. And then as soon as they start going in the right direction, boom, something happens. Either it's a holiday, either it's somebody else gets sick, or, their car breaks down, or they, anything, any little subtle change could knock us off course. And that is constantly happening. So to some degree, the only way to really get ahead is to anticipate that those things are going to happen. And then when they're there, you're like, I see you. This is when I keep going. I'm not there yet. When I see these things, I get fucking pissed. Oh my God, I was throwing everything around in here. I was so angry at the fucking universe and its stupid games that it likes to play with me when I'm trying to do something new in the direction that I want to go. So it's just, sometimes I kind of laugh at it because you're like, oh, there you are. Yeah, right. You're not going to stop me. Ha. And sometimes you're like, today's not the day, motherfucker. Today's not the day. I am just sick of your shit. I'm sick of it. But oh well, what can you do? What can you do? You can't go anywhere. You just got to deal with it because you're here. Hi God, hi world, hi life, hi reality. I'm stuck in you and I can't get out of this live action. So it's quite annoying at times. But here we are. We're back up. A little hiccup. On another vein of this concept, I have this theory. And the theory is that everything comes in waves, just like sound waves. So that means that when you go up, you're going to come back down. And then you go back up, and then you come back down. And you go back up, and you come back down. And you go back up, and you come back down, down, up, up. It's like a song. Just like the rhythm goes up and down to create sound waves. It's a melodic song. Your life is a fucking song. So that means you're going to be going up sometimes and you're going to be going down sometimes. And just as you go up, you're going to go down. I don't know if any of you pay attention to the stock markets or anything like that. If you ever pay attention to how the charts go and they go up and they go down and then they hit a threshold and they bounce back down even tenfold and they go back up and they come back down. And then sometimes they're in a form of consolidation where they're not really doing much of anything up or far up or far down. They're just staying right in the middle. And then sometimes they'll spike up and then after that spike up they'll spark far down. and then down, down, down until they start bouncing themselves back up again. Most of these places, most of these trends are always in an upward trend, but over periods of time. Some of those periods of time are closer together and they spike a lot more rapidly, and others are longer periods of time, just like people. So some people will rapidly accelerate up and down really chaotically fast and get out of there, but some will, take a while to do it. Now, the point is that it is a trend to see that whenever you're going up, you will eventually come back down. And sometimes if you spike up fast, you're going to spike down fast. What do you do about that? There's no way to trick the game. I mean, people try to have all this like probability and predictions and all these kinds of things. And there's ways to predict some of this stuff, but okay, it's still happening. It's still happening. I think predictions are a way to make people feel like they're in control, but this is still going to happen. So in some way, shape, or form, there's a level of acceptance we all need to learn to get and have and dish out as often as we can, because there's just sometimes you just can't fight it. Sometimes you just got to let it go, just like Senua's sacrifice. She fought and she fought and she fought, and in the end, you can fight forever. But the way that'll change the game, the only way through is sometimes to give up. So give up the fight sometimes. Learn to accept what's here and just watch it like a movie with entertainment and enjoyment and awe, and be like, oh shit, that was really hard. Damn, this is an interesting world and life. God is amazing. This is the way to go. I'm just going to leave it at that. And we're going to move forward. And so far, so good. As long as internet don't fuck with me no more, I should be fine, right? It's here. It's here. I am here to talk. Now, I talked about 2 topics today: mindfulness and life's cruel obstacle course. Now, you got to have both to get through the race. Well, technically, you don't got to do anything, but it's a secret. You want to do it a certain way. That is one way to do it. Anyway, that concludes today's podcast. I wish you all well, and remember to be warriors for that soul. Thanks for listening. If you found today's episode helpful, a 5-star rating really helps share the mission with others who are exploring mindfulness, presence, and self-discovery along with us. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to leave comments, reflections, or even suggest topics you'd like to hear in future episodes. Until next time, take care and stay present.